Let's hear from Marion on the advocacy update. So Marion Schwartz, really key player in regard to the advocacy. I had the honor, and Mike before me as well, to have Marion on our task force, and definitely a key player and one of the stakeholders of the foundation. So, yep, you want to go up to the podium? Yeah, just yeah, here we go. Yeah, perfect. So just forward, backward. Yeah, this is literally screens, not computer. So
Is this forward?
the green one, the big one, the big green, the big green, the huge green.
Forward. Wait. So just keep going this way.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
I think I can do this. Hi, I'm Marion Schwartz. I'm patient advocate for the Cholangiocarcinoma Foundation. And I want to speak. I'm going to go back. About molecular testing, amongst other things. We know that molecular diagnostics lead to a potential benefit, but they also increase patient burden. And the existing health plan policies are shifting the cost of molecular testing to the consumer and adding to the already financial toxicity experienced by our patients. And patients should be informed of the availability of institutionally conducted genetic panel testing and provided guidance as to the necessity of additional testing. Biopsies for identification of critical gene mutations increase patients' anxiety, including fear of pain and possible repeat procedures. Some serial biopsy can be avoided by adding provisions for extra samples that may be needed for future molecular testing. And patients need to know more. As you see, they really want to be aware. They want to know about their procedures, maybe not into detail, into the smallest detail. They have to feel comfortable about undergoing these procedures. But they also wonder oftentimes why the biopsy was inconclusive and why it had to be repeated. And I think it helps to make them understand beforehand that there are difficulties associated with retrieval, that the inherent heterogeneous clinical presentation may be there, and is for our disease, and there's challenges associated with limited tumor axis, diffuse tumor boundaries, and the irregular shape. And I want to talk about one of the two big trials that our patients are aware of, that they most likely will come and speak to their physicians about. The one is the NCI molecular analysis for therapy choice, the NCI match, as it's called. The primary endpoint, objective response rate. The secondary endpoint, progression-free survival. And this is the study, it's the largest, most rigorous precision oncology trial in history. It's only for U.S. patients, and it's limited to those sites that use the NCI Central Institutional Review Board. Study tests a large number of patients in order to identify widely distributed genetic alterations. In this case, biopsy is required at study entry. The cost is covered by NCI. Patients can be considered for a second arm if first treatment in NCI match trial was unsuccessful. The enrollment had to be paused for several reasons, and most likely will be resuming somewhere in April or May, and it's the last I heard they're looking towards May. And there was an interim analysis conducted. And we hope that this will reveal the diversity of cancer types, common and rare, among patients who have enrolled in the trial, patients with a mutation that matches to one of the 10 available treatment versus those with no match, and the estimated proportion of patients who may have a mutation that matches to one of the 22 of 24 treatment arms once all arms become available. They will also inform us about the type and quality of tumor samples submitted by the institutions enrolling patients in the trial, and the performance and turnaround time of the 4 laboratories supporting the trial with sample processing and genomic testing. They're expecting an opening of 12 to 14 additional treatment arms with the expectation of having as many as 22 to 24 arms open by May 2016. And for questions, you may always email this address. As of today, I have been informed that we have not had one single cholangiocarcinoma patient enrolled. Al, do you know more?
It's not been a rousing success so far. The real problem, as they're looking to open more cohorts, the real problem is that the numbers are somewhat like 700 patients have been registered and 20 some have been treated. So that's 1 in 35 has had a match. And the problem is having doctors in the community sustain that 1 in 35 hit rate. So even if they double the number of buckets or the number of opportunities, it still will be the rare patient who finds a hit. And so it's, now of course the problem is that many centers are just choosing the sort of patients without other options, or it's hard to say why they're all failing and not getting treated, but it's not been very successful so far.
The next one you probably are aware of as well is the ASCO Targeted Agent and Profiling Utilization Registry, TAPOR. Endpoints change here, objective tumor response or stable disease at 16 weeks after treatment initiation. This case, it does not require a fresh tumor biopsy, so the genomic testing not provided by the study. The drugs are provided at no cost to the trial participants. In cases not fitting the specified criteria are advised of possible alternatives, including identification of other ongoing research studies. There's some other good aspects to this trial. Treatment with off-label therapy outside of TAPOR protocol is available, and treating physician may recommend administering off-label commercially available therapy not included in the TAPOR study. The role of the Cholangiocarcinoma Foundation in eliminating accrual barriers for clinical trials. The Cholangiocarcinoma Foundation can help move the field forward prior to protocol development for expedited patient accrual. By collaborating on an effective accrual plan, mapping out short and long-term internal and external opportunities, including the patient's voice in protocol development, and addressing demographics of feasible patient population. These are some of the issues that us advocates are criticizing and are looking at right now, and there will be some changes made all through the U.S. There's a need to re-examine the eligibility criteria, and we are wondering, should the eligibility criteria for studies with biological agents automatically be transferred from studies involving other types of drugs? And advocates can help develop eligibility criteria for studies with biological agents. Patient-reported outcome has taken on a stronger voice yet again, and there is an increasing trend from leading companies and regulatory bodies to include PROs as a critical data point in all stages of development, including clinical trial design, recruitment, and progression. PROs can play a significant role as a study endpoint in evaluation of new therapies. And the FDA encourages and has approved drugs on strong PRO data. Another big issue for our patients is informed consent. Patients are in life crisis and may be confused and or unable to comprehend the complexity of the documents. Advocates can help integrate the patient's perspective for informed consent. Transparency in study outcome. Trial participants are eager to learn the results of their study. There is an unmet need to provide lay language trial results to study volunteers. And trial results need to be available for public view, and that is the big problem that we have, even though most of them should be listed in clinicaltrials.gov, but they're not. Altogether, sponsors and researchers can influence more positive trial participation experience and build a substantial base of public support for clinical research. The Cholangiocarcinoma Foundation provides clinical trial information to the patient community. Investigators may submit trial information and patient-friendly description, 7th grade level, for placement on the Clinical Trials Now Enrolling page of our website. We provide opportunity for patients who are participating in clinical trials to have an open discussion in a designated thread on the site. And I'd like to elaborate a little bit on that. As we see patients commenting on their trial enrollment, we highlight them so that any other patient enrolling in that same trial can share information. Now, they can't obviously share data. And there's really no, it's really a support for the patient, and it's really no hindrance to the trial. And generally, it's talking about side effects that they felt and how they felt they dealt with it best, or just simple support. Oh, there's another person in the same trial experiencing similar issues. And I think that is really the biggest issue with our cancer, and has historically been so. It's an isolated disease, and people are simply lonely, not only with the diagnosis, with their treatment as well. Our discussion board is comprised of about 3,670 members, and with nearly 10,000 postings, with approximately 9,500 viewers. And we estimate that we have about 800 hits a day coming to our site, and that includes the discussion board. Under development, we provide information on major cancer centers on our website, but we plan to expand our information to include physicians offering second opinions that incorporate applicable clinical trial information in their consultations. Specialists included in listings should agree to have reviewed patients' clinical status, needs, and preference prior to providing the second opinions. We will then list the specialist by name, region, with their link to their institution. These are the researchers. So this has worked for other rare diseases, especially, and especially since with our cancer, we advise people to get a second professional opinion almost always. And so, and we understand that not everybody has the time to give a second opinion, but those that do, it would be of high value, and it would also increase clinical trial enrollment. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Marion. That's extremely helpful. Any questions, by the way, for Marion? All right. Okay. Well, no question. I have to agree with you that, at least as physicians, humbly speaking, we're not really geared in all of this. And admittedly, it's not like we don't want to do this, but this is not where we're trained into. And nonetheless, there's a lot of effort that's happening in regard to kind of, break those bridges and kind of, answer to all those kind of, immediate needs that you're bringing up. And some of them are really pretty straightforward and simple, exactly as what was brought up yesterday, which is, at least a proposal for like a small excerpt about like the outcome of a study in lay language. That wouldn't take too much effort, but hopefully we'll get some of that happening. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you.